The sun of Lyria was not like the sun of Earth. It shimmered in shades of gold and violet, casting a warm glow over the sprawling capital city of Ceralis. Towering crystalline buildings rose like frozen waterfalls, reflecting the light in patterns that seemed almost alive. Streets were crowded with beings of every shape and size, and the air hummed with the chatter of countless languages. Among all these voices, one figure moved with calm purpose: Princess Lyra of Lyria. Lyra was known across her planet as a figure of intelligence, grace, and quiet strength. Her purple-hued skin shimmered faintly under the city lights, and her eyes, a soft silver, held a wisdom far beyond her years. Yet behind her regal demeanor, Lyra carried a secret unease, a memory she could not fully place, a shadow from her childhood that sometimes made her shiver unexpectedly. Today, she was attending a diplomatic summit, an event designed to strengthen alliances between planets and trade systems. It was meant to be routine, but Lyra had an unshakable feeling that something unusual would happen. Meanwhile, across the vast hall of the summit, Captain Elias, a human, stepped carefully among the delegates. He was tall with a lean build, and his brown eyes scanned every corner of the room with quiet alertness. Elias had spent years traveling across galaxies, negotiating trade, rescuing civilians from dangers, and solving conflicts that threatened peace. Though he appeared calm, he carried the weight of countless missions that had shaped him into a man both brave and careful. The summit hall was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers hung from impossibly high ceilings, and soft light reflected off walls adorned with the symbols of every planet present. Delegates gathered in small groups, discussing trade agreements, political alliances, and scientific collaborations. Yet amid all this activity, Lyra's attention was caught by one presence. When she saw Elias, she felt it immediately. A shiver ran down her spine, subtle but undeniable. Her breathing caught for a moment. There was something familiar about him, something from a memory she could not quite place. Her silver eyes narrowed slightly as she studied him, trying to recall why her heart felt a strange warmth and fear at the same time. Elias noticed her as well. There was something different about this alien princess, a sense of calm confidence mixed with vulnerability. He had met many alien leaders before, but none had the quiet intensity that Lyra carried. He moved closer, curious, and their eyes met. Time seemed to pause. Lyra's mind raced. Could it be? No, it couldn't, and yet there was a flicker of recognition buried deep within her memory, like the echo of a song she had heard as a child. She turned slightly, hoping he hadn't noticed her reaction, but he had. Elias tilted his head slightly, a faint smile playing at the corner of his lips, not mocking, but intrigued. The summit's announcements began, and both Lyra and Elias took their places among their respective groups. The room buzzed with discussions about trade routes, technological exchanges, and cultural programs. Delegates moved back and forth, each trying to make the best impression, each trying to ensure their planet's interests were protected. Despite the formal setting, Lyra could not stop thinking about Elias. She remembered flashes of a past long ago, vivid images of a young child trapped in a dangerous situation, fear gripping every fiber of her being, and then a human figure appearing out of nowhere to save her. The memory was blurred, like looking through frosted glass, but the feeling was real. Safety, warmth, protection. Could it be him? Elias, on the other hand, was trying to focus on the summit's agenda. He had dealt with tricky negotiations before, but there was something about this princess that demanded more attention. Her presence was calm yet commanding, her eyes observing everything without revealing her thoughts. Something about her reminded him of a rescue mission years ago. A distant planet, a dangerous storm, and a small child who had needed saving. Could this elegant alien woman really be that child? As the day progressed, the summit moved into its main session. Delegates presented proposals, discussed potential trade routes, and debated alliances. Lyra listened carefully, taking in each point, each gesture, and each subtle nuance in the room. But her mind kept returning to Elias, his calm demeanor, the way he listened attentively to each speaker, the quiet confidence in his movements. It all stirred a memory she could not ignore. During a break, Lyra stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the city. The wind carried the soft hum of flying vehicles and the distant chatter of citizens below. She leaned on the railing, taking a deep breath, and tried to calm herself. Why does he feel so familiar? She whispered to herself. She had faced many challenges as a princess, navigated countless political intrigues, yet nothing in her life had made her shiver like this. Elias appeared a few moments later, as if drawn by the same invisible thread. He paused when he saw her, giving her a respectful nod. "Princess Lyra," he said, his voice calm but warm. "The city looks beautiful from here, doesn't it?" Lyra nodded, though her eyes were still searching his face for the truth buried in her memory. "Yes," she replied softly, "it's breathtaking." There was a moment of silence, a strange connection hanging between them. Neither spoke of the past, though both felt its presence strongly. The air seemed charged, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Suddenly, a minor commotion broke the stillness. A delegate's communication device malfunctioned, sparking small flashes of light. Lyra and Elias instinctively moved closer. Their instincts aligned, despite never having worked together. The situation was minor, quickly handled by the staff, yet it highlighted something important. Elias's calm thinking and quick reaction reminded Lyra of the human who had once saved her life. She couldn't deny it any longer. She had to know. The summit resumed, but now Lyra's mind was fully focused on Elias. She watched him interact with other delegates, noticing how he balanced firmness with kindness, how he spoke with clarity without ever sounding overbearing. Everything about him was human, and everything about humans, she realized, carried a courage and ingenuity that few alien species possessed. Elias, meanwhile, found himself increasingly aware of Lyra's reactions. Her subtle movements, the way she observed him with sharp intelligence, and the occasional soft shiver. He had seen these before. And slowly realization dawned. This could very well be the child he had rescued years ago. A child who had been terrified yet resilient, who had smiled at him despite fear, who had shown a spark of strength that had stayed with him ever since. As the day drew to a close, the delegates prepared for a ceremonial dinner. Lyra adjusted her attire, a flowing gown that shimmered like the city lights, and allowed herself one final glance toward Elias, who was speaking with another delegate. Their eyes met again, and this time the recognition was undeniable. Both felt it, the faint echo of a shared past, a connection that had survived years and light years of distance. Lyra's heart raced, but she maintained her composure. She had always been a princess who faced challenges head-on, and she would face this one too. The memory of a small human saving her as a child was a reminder that courage and kindness could shape destinies, no matter the species. And now, standing before her was that human, grown, experienced, and still carrying the same quiet bravery that had saved her long ago. The first part of the evening ended with formalities and polite farewells. Yet as the delegates dispersed, Lyra knew that this encounter was only the beginning. The memory she had suppressed for so long was stirring, and she could no longer ignore it. Elias, too, was aware that this meeting was no accident. Fate, it seemed, had brought them together again, under the glittering skies of Lyria. As they left the hall, their paths were destined to cross again. And when they did, Lyra would finally confront the truth. The human standing before her was the very one who had saved her as a child, the one whose courage had left an imprint on her soul. And so, amid the bustling streets of Scifi's under the golden violet sun, two lives once separated by years and worlds were quietly beginning to converge. The princess shivered, not from fear, but from the anticipation of what lay ahead. The night sky of Scifi shimmered with millions of distant stars, each one casting its own delicate glow across the city. Princess Lyra stood on the balcony of her private quarters in the royal palace, overlooking the sparkling streets below. The summit's events had ended, but her thoughts remained consumed by one figure, Captain Elias. The memory of his calm voice, his steady hands, and the gentle confidence he carried haunted her. She could no longer ignore the strange sense of familiarity that had stirred within her. Lyra's mind drifted back, as it often did, to a time long ago, a time she rarely spoke about. She had been just a child then, barely 5 Lyrian years old. Her planet had been struck by a sudden, violent storm unlike anyone had seen before. The sky had darkened, winds had howled like wild beasts, and the ground beneath the palace had trembled. Lyra remembered running through the corridors with her attendants, clutching the small amulet her mother had given her, a gift meant to protect her in times of fear. But even that did little to calm the terror gripping her heart. The walls shook again, and Lyra had been separated from her caretakers in the chaos. She had wandered through darkened halls calling out for help, but her small voice had been swallowed by the roar of the storm. Panic had risen like a tidal wave, and she had stumbled toward the outer gates where danger awaited beyond. And then, a human appeared. He was tall, with brown hair and eyes that seemed to hold a quiet courage. His uniform was simple, but his presence was commanding. He had arrived with a team of rescuers responding to the emergency that had threatened countless lives. Lyra's memory of him was hazy, blurred by fear and the chaos of the moment. But she remembered the way he had smiled at her as if to say, "You are safe now." He had carried her through the storm, shielding her from falling debris and guiding her through the dark streets until they reached safety. Lyra had clung to him, trembling but feeling an unfamiliar warmth, protection, care, and trust all in one. She had not known his name then, only that he had saved her life. And now, standing before her at the summit, was the same human. It could not be a coincidence. She shivered, not from fear, but from the realization that the past had returned to her in an impossible form. Yet Lyra had learned long ago to hide her emotions. A princess could not show uncertainty, not in public, not in politics. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, and left the balcony. The palace corridors were quiet, lit by soft, luminescent panels embedded in the walls. Each step she took echoed slightly, a reminder of the distance between her memories and her present reality. Meanwhile, Captain Elias returned to his quarters, unaware of the depth of Lyra's thoughts. He too had memories tugging at him, faint recollections of a mission long ago, a rescue that had saved a small alien child. At the time, it had been one of many missions, but the child's courage and bright eyes had left a lasting impression. He had often wondered what had become of her. Could she have survived? Could she have grown into someone strong and capable, someone worthy of admiration? Now, seeing Lyra again, he began to put the pieces together. The subtle gestures, the way she observed the world, the cautious yet determined strength she carried. It all reminded him of the child he had saved. He couldn't be certain yet, but hope stirred within him. The next morning, the summit resumed with a series of important discussions. Lyra attended with her usual composure, but beneath the calm exterior, she planned her next move. She needed answers, and she would get them, carefully and privately. During a break, she requested a short meeting with Elias under the pretense of discussing diplomatic matters. The palace staff arranged a quiet room for them, adorned with soft lights and overlooking the city's gardens. It was the perfect place for a private conversation, away from the scrutiny of other delegates. Lyra entered first, her silver eyes meeting Elias's brown ones. There was a brief pause, a silent acknowledgement of something neither dared yet to speak aloud. She gestured toward a pair of chairs near the window. "Captain Elias," she said, her voice steady but soft. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." Elias nodded, taking a seat. "Of course, Princess. It's an honor. How can I help?" Lyra chose her words carefully. "I wanted to discuss the summit's trade proposals, particularly the interplanetary technology exchange. I think there is room for improvement in the plan presented yesterday." Her tone was professional, but there was an underlying curiosity, a subtle invitation for conversation beyond politics. Elias leaned forward slightly, his expression attentive. "I agree. Some of the proposals could be optimized. Perhaps we could review them together." As they spoke, Lyra's mind wandered back to the past and small fragments of memory surfaced. She remembered a hand gently lifting her from danger, the warmth of a human's presence and the reassurance of safety. She noticed Elias's mannerisms, the calm way he listened, the careful gestures of his hands, the subtle kindness in his voice. Each detail matched her fragmented memories, sending another shiver down her spine. Elias noticed the slight tension in her expression and the way her eyes softened when she looked at him. He had seen it before in children he had rescued, that mix of caution and trust, the instinctive reaction to someone who had once protected them. A memory began to crystallize in his mind, a small alien child, frightened and alone, looking up at him with wide eyes filled with hope. Could this elegant princess before him really be the same child? Lyra broke the silence first, though carefully. "Captain Elias, have you ever saved someone you barely knew? Someone who might have changed your life without you realizing it?" Her question was delicate, almost a test. Elias considered it for a moment. Then he spoke slowly, choosing his words with care. Yes, I remember saving a young alien child during a planetary storm. She was frightened but brave. I've often wondered what became of her. Lyra felt her heart quicken. Do you remember where it happened? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. On the planet Vera? Elias's eyes widened. Vera, yes. That's exactly it. How did you… He paused, astonished. Could it be possible that the child he had rescued had grown into the princess standing before him? Lyra nodded, her shiver now a mixture of relief and awe. It was me, she said softly. You saved me when I was a child. I never forgot. For a moment silence hung between them, heavy with the weight of years and the unlikeliest of reunions. Elias leaned back in his chair, processing the revelation. I can't believe it. You've grown into someone remarkable, Princess Lyra. Courage, wisdom, and strength. I see now that the spark I noticed in you as a child never left. Lyra smiled faintly, the tension in her shoulders easing. And I see that human bravery and kindness can leave a mark that lasts a lifetime, she said. I've always wondered who you were, and now I know. They spoke for a while longer, sharing fragments of their past experiences and memories. Elias recounted the rescue mission with careful detail, and Lyra shared her childhood impressions, both of them laughing softly at the moments of fear that had now turned into distant stories. Yet, even as they connected over their shared history, a shadow of unease lingered. The summit was not just a gathering of friends, it was a place of politics, alliances, and hidden agendas. Somewhere in the crowd, others watched, waiting for the right moment to strike. Lyra sensed it, a faint tremor in the atmosphere that hinted at a potential threat. Elias noticed it too. Though there was no immediate danger, his instincts, honed over years of missions, warned him that this was only the beginning. The universe rarely allowed coincidences, and a reunion like this one was rarely simple. As the meeting ended, Lyra stood, her posture regal yet relaxed. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me, Captain. This means more than I can express. Elias nodded, standing as well. And thank you, Princess. I've waited a long time for this moment. It seems the universe had its own plans for us. As they left the room, their eyes met once more, a silent understanding passing between them. They both knew that this reunion was not just about the past. It was the beginning of something larger, something that would test their courage, intelligence, and trust. Outside, the streets of Scifi's were alive with the light of 1,000 civilizations. Lyra and Elias walked side by side, their minds intertwined with memories of the past and possibilities of the future. Though challenges awaited, both felt a quiet confidence. Together they could face whatever the galaxy had in store. And as the stars twinkled above, Lyra realized something profound. The human who had saved her as a child had returned not just to her life, but to the destiny she was only beginning to understand. The sun of Lyria rose again, casting warm golden light over the capital city of Scifi. Princess Lyra moved through the corridors of the royal palace with her usual poise, but there was a spark of anticipation in her silver eyes. Yesterday's private meeting with Captain Elias had left her mind buzzing. She could no longer deny the truth. He was the human who had saved her as a child. Lyra's thoughts drifted as she walked. She remembered the small hand clutching hers, the gentle voice reassuring her, and the strength that had carried her through fear. Those memories had been tucked away for years, hidden behind royal composure and public duties. But now, seeing Elias again, the past felt vivid, alive. Meanwhile, Elias had returned to his quarters in the ambassador's wing. He had spent the night reviewing notes from the summit, but his mind kept returning to Lyra. She was no longer a frightened child. She was confident, intelligent, and graceful. Yet beneath that elegance he saw the faint traces of vulnerability, the part of her that had once depended entirely on his help. He could not shake the sense that their reunion was more than coincidence. The universe had a strange way of bringing people together when they were meant to face challenges beyond their understanding. The next day, Lyra requested another private discussion with Elias. She had decided it was time to confirm the memories fully, to ensure that what she felt was not just imagination. A quiet room was arranged in the palace gardens, filled with soft light and the scent of blooming iridescent flowers unique to Lyria. As she entered, Elias rose from his seat. His eyes, filled with both curiosity and recognition, met hers. "Princess Lyra," he said, a warm smile tugging at his lips. I hoped we would speak again. Lyra returned the smile, her heart fluttering. Captain Elias, I want to understand the past fully. I need to know if the memories I have are true. Elias nodded slowly. I remember the mission clearly. Your planet storm had caught everyone off guard. You were lost in the chaos and I found you just in time. I remember your eyes, your courage, even at that age, and now, seeing you here, I realize you are the same child grown into an extraordinary woman. Lyra's breath caught. It is true then. It was you who saved me. I never knew your name at the time, but I never forgot your face. Or your kindness. Elias's expression softened. And I never forgot you. Even back then I knew you were special. You survived something terrifying, and you carried yourself with bravery. That spark never left you. For a long moment neither spoke, the silence filled with unspoken understanding. The bond between them, invisible yet undeniable, stretched across years and light years, connecting past and present. Lyra finally broke the silence. I've spent my life learning to lead, to face challenges. But yesterday when I saw you, I felt safe again, like I did as a child. I had not realized how deeply that moment had shaped me. Elias's eyes softened with admiration. It is remarkable. Humans often think their actions are small, but they can leave lasting impressions. Courage and compassion, even in a single moment, can change lives forever. As they spoke, a distant alert echoed through the palace. A subtle signal, one only someone trained like Elias would notice, indicated that something unusual was happening nearby. It was minor. A delegate's communication device malfunctioning. But it carried a strange energy that hinted at deeper interference. Lyra sensed it too. Her royal instincts, honed by years of leadership, told her that while the summit was meant to be diplomatic, not all participants had pure intentions. She looked at Elias. Something is off. I can feel it, Elias nodded. Agreed. The universe rarely allows coincidences. This reunion, it may be just the beginning. We should be prepared. They decided to investigate discreetly. Walking through the palace corridors, they observed delegates and staff alike, searching for any signs of tampering or hidden motives. It was a delicate balance. Any wrong move could draw attention and suspicion. As they moved, Lyra noticed Elias's sharp instincts in action. He observed patterns in movement, subtle expressions, and environmental cues that most people overlooked. It reminded her once again why humans were remarkable. Their ability to adapt, to analyze, and to act decisively was something alien species rarely possessed in such combination. Elias noticed how Lyra watched him, her curiosity mingled with admiration. He realized that she was beginning to see not just the hero who had saved her, but the qualities in humans that made them extraordinary. Intelligence, courage, and kindness, all combined in ways that could shift the balance of situations across the galaxy. Their exploration led them to a small communication hub within the palace. Several delegates were gathered, examining maps and discussing alliances. Something about their behavior seemed coordinated, too precise, too deliberate. Lyra and Elias exchanged a subtle glance, silently agreeing to observe without intervening yet. As they watched, a faint pattern emerged. Certain delegates were attempting to manipulate information, subtly guiding decisions to favor a hidden agenda. The conspiracy was clever, hidden beneath layers of diplomacy and etiquette, but the careful eyes of a princess and a human hero noticed. Lyra leaned closer to Elias. It seems someone is trying to sway the summit for their own gain. If we do nothing, this could change alliances in ways that might harm countless worlds. Elias's jaw tightened. We need to act carefully. Diplomacy first, action second. We can't expose ourselves prematurely, but we can gather evidence. The two worked quietly, combining Lyra's knowledge of political systems with Elias's experience in strategy and quick thinking. They observed meetings, recorded subtle discrepancies in communication, and pieced together the intentions of those involved. Every detail mattered. Every subtle gesture and phrase could reveal the truth. Hours passed, and the sun dipped lower in the sky. Lyra and Elias remained focused, their shared history and trust strengthening their teamwork. They moved through the palace with quiet precision, unnoticed by those who believed themselves in control. Each discovery brought them closer not just in purpose but in understanding. Eventually, they gathered enough information to act. Lyra, with the authority of her title, confronted the conspirators during a scheduled assembly. Elias supported her, presenting facts and observations in a calm, persuasive manner. The evidence was clear, the deception undeniable. The delegates responsible for the manipulation had no choice but to admit their plans. The room erupted in a mixture of surprise, relief, and admiration. Many delegates expressed respect for the princess's courage and intelligence, and for the human who had helped uncover the truth. Lyra realized that her childhood memory, her rescue, was not just a personal event, but a foundation that had prepared her to lead wisely and bravely. After the assembly, Lyra and Elias walked through the palace gardens, now quiet under the soft glow of evening. The air was filled with the scent of iridescent flowers and the gentle hum of distant city life. Lyra looked at Elias, gratitude shining in her eyes. "I cannot thank you enough, not just for saving me as a child, but for helping me now, in ways that truly matter." Elias smiled, a mix of humility and warmth. "You don't need to thank me. I only did what anyone would do. But seeing you grow into the person you are now, it is more than I could have hoped for. You inspire others without even trying." They paused near a fountain, the water reflecting the colors of the setting sun. A sense of calm settled over them, but both knew the challenges were far from over. The summit was complete for now, but the galaxy was vast, full of uncertainties, and filled with opportunities for courage and wisdom to shine. Lyra finally spoke, her voice soft but firm. "I think this is only the beginning, Elias. The universe brought us together again for a reason, and I am ready to face whatever comes next with you by my side." Elias looked at her, the bond between them deepening. "Then we will face it together. The past may have brought us here, but the future is ours to shape." As the stars above Seralis twinkled like tiny beacons of hope, Princess Lyra and Captain Elias walked side by side. Two lives, once separated by time and space, were now converging, ready to face the galaxy with courage, intelligence, and the quiet heroism that defined humans. And though the challenges ahead were unknown, both knew one truth clearly. Together, they were stronger than any threat, wiser than any deception, and capable of creating a future where bravery, kindness, and ingenuity could light the way. The morning light of Lyria filtered softly through the crystalline walls of the palace, reflecting in shades of violet and gold. Princess Lyra stood in her private study, reviewing reports from the summit. The events of the previous days had left her alert, aware that the world beyond the palace walls was far from simple. She was no longer just a princess attending a diplomatic gathering. She had become a leader aware of hidden threats and subtle plots. Captain Elias arrived shortly afterward, his calm presence filling the room. "Good morning, Princess," he said. "I reviewed the information you collected last night. It seems there is more to the summit than meets the eye." Lyra nodded. "I suspected as much. Some factions are trying to influence interplanetary alliances using fear and misinformation. We must be careful. But now, with what we've uncovered, we have a chance to act before anything serious happens." Elias leaned over the reports, scanning the patterns. "I agree. The conspirators are clever, but they underestimate our ability to observe and plan. If we act wisely, we can turn this to our advantage." The two of them devised a careful strategy. They would expose the faction's scheme without creating panic or damaging the reputation of the summit. Lyra's knowledge of political procedures and Elias's experience in tactical planning made them a formidable team. Every step, every conversation, and every observation had to be precise. Their first move was to subtly gather more information. Lyra attended meetings with the delegates, observing body language, listening for inconsistencies, and asking questions that seemed routine but revealed underlying motives. Meanwhile, Elias navigated corridors, intercepted communications, and discreetly analyzed technological devices to uncover evidence of manipulation. Hours passed, and their efforts began to pay off. They discovered that a group of delegates had secretly altered data regarding trade agreements, attempting to shift alliances in their favor. If successful, their plan could have caused widespread mistrust and disrupted relations between several planets. Lyra's eyes narrowed as she reviewed the findings. "This is worse than I thought," she said. "They are trying to control not just the summit, but the decisions that will affect entire systems. We cannot let this succeed." Elias nodded, determination in his gaze. "Then we act carefully. First, we gather undeniable proof. Then we present it in a way that holds everyone accountable without causing chaos. Together they moved through the palace like shadows, unnoticed but always observing. Lyra's keen awareness of political nuances and Elias's strategic thinking complemented each other perfectly. They noticed subtle signals, exchanged coded glances, and pieced together the conspirators' plan step by step. At one point, they discovered a hidden room within the palace, filled with devices transmitting altered communications to key delegates. Elias carefully disabled the devices, ensuring no immediate alert would be triggered. Lyra made mental notes of the evidence, preparing to present it at the right moment. Their teamwork was seamless, a combination of courage, intelligence, and trust. Lyra admired Elias's calm decision-making and quick thinking, while Elias respected Lyra's insight, her ability to understand people, and her natural leadership. The experience reminded them both why their reunion had been so significant. The human who had once saved her as a child was now her ally, in safeguarding not just a summit, but the future of interplanetary relations. As the summit resumed later that afternoon, Lyra and Elias prepared to act. They waited for the perfect moment when the conspirators were publicly presenting proposals. The room was filled with delegates, all attentive to the discussions. Lyra's silver eyes scanned the crowd, and Elias's sharp gaze followed the movements of those under suspicion. When the moment arrived, Lyra rose to speak. Her voice, calm yet commanding, echoed across the assembly hall. "Honored delegates, I wish to bring to attention some irregularities in the data presented. I have reviewed the communications and records, and there are inconsistencies that demand clarification." The room grew quiet. Some delegates exchanged nervous glances while others stared in surprise. Elias stepped forward, supporting her statement. "We have evidence of altered transmissions and manipulated information," he said, his tone clear and steady. "These actions could mislead the assembly and impact decisions affecting multiple systems. It is imperative that we address this now." Gasps and murmurs filled the hall. The conspirators, caught off guard, struggled to maintain composure. Lyra presented the evidence, carefully detailing each alteration and explaining the potential consequences. Elias added context, describing how small changes in data could have wide-reaching effects. The delegates listened, impressed by the clarity and precision of the presentation. Lyra's calm authority and Elias's analytical reasoning made a compelling case. There was no room for denial or argument. The conspirators were forced to admit their actions and explain their motives. The resolution was swift but peaceful. No one was harmed, no alliances were destroyed, and the summit continued with renewed trust. Delegates expressed admiration for the princess's courage and intelligence, and for the human who had aided in uncovering the plot. Lyra realized that her past, her rescue as a child, had given her the resilience and understanding needed to lead effectively. After the assembly, Lyra and Elias walked through the palace gardens, the evening light casting a gentle glow over the flowering plants. The quiet atmosphere allowed them a moment to reflect. "You handled that remarkably," Elias said, his eyes filled with respect. "You remained calm under pressure, observed carefully, and acted decisively. It is no wonder you are a princess of your planet." Lyra smiled faintly, feeling the weight of relief and pride. "And you, Captain Elias, your quick thinking and steady presence. It reminded me why humans are extraordinary. Courage and intelligence combined with compassion can change outcomes in ways no one else can." They continued walking side by side, sharing insights and reflections. The events of the day had strengthened their bond. They were not just allies. They were a team, each complementing the other's strengths. Lyra appreciated the human qualities Elias embodied: adaptability, resourcefulness, and unwavering bravery. Elias, in turn, admired Lyra's insight, patience, and leadership. As the stars began to twinkle above Siralis, Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose. The summit had tested her, not just as a princess but as a leader capable of facing unexpected challenges. And with Elias by her side, she knew they could face whatever the galaxy had in store. Yet even in this moment of triumph, both knew that challenges would continue. The universe was vast, and opportunities and threats often came together in unexpected ways. But they were prepared. Together, human ingenuity and alien wisdom formed a partnership that was both unbreakable and inspiring. Lyra paused near a fountain, watching the water catch the colors of the sky. Elias, she said softly, I think we are ready for whatever comes next. We faced danger before, though perhaps not this directly, and we've prevailed. With trust, courage, and strategy, we can handle more than most imagine. Elias nodded. Agreed. And it is rare to find someone whose strengths complement your own so perfectly. We make a good team. Lyra smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the afternoon sun. Yes, we do. Perhaps this reunion was meant to prepare us for challenges far greater than the summit alone. Elias glanced at her, a quiet determination in his eyes. Whatever comes, Princess, we face it together. Humans have a saying, courage isn't the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And I see that same courage in you. The night deepened, and Seralis glowed under the light of distant stars. Lyra and Elias walked through the gardens, discussing strategies, sharing stories, and strengthening the bond that had begun in the innocence of a childhood rescue. The challenges of diplomacy and interstellar intrigue had tested them, but they had prevailed without violence, relying instead on intelligence, observation, and teamwork. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that together, they could face any obstacle. The human who had saved her as a child was no longer just a hero in memory. He was her ally, her partner in leadership, and a reminder that courage and kindness could light the way through even the most complex challenges. The galaxy was wide, full of uncertainty and opportunity, but Princess Lyra and Captain Elias were ready. Their partnership, forged in the past and strengthened in the present, would guide them through whatever trials awaited. And the bond they shared, built on trust, respect, and the quiet heroism that defined humans, would shine as a beacon of hope for all who witnessed it. The morning sun cast a golden glow across Seralis, bathing the city in warmth and light. Princess Lyra stood in the grand hall of the royal palace, observing the delegates who had gathered for the final session of the summit. The past few days had been filled with tension, discovery, and quiet strategy, but today, she and Captain Elias faced their greatest task, ensuring that the summit concluded peacefully. With trust restored among all participating worlds, Lyra's silver eyes scanned the room, noting each delegate's posture, expressions, and attention. She had learned to read people over the years, but now, with Elias by her side, her understanding deepened. Humans had a unique ability to see patterns and possibilities, to adapt quickly and to inspire courage in others. Elias had demonstrated these qualities throughout the summit, and together they formed a team unlike any other. Elias stood beside her, reviewing the final notes they had prepared. The evidence we collected has already clarified the inconsistencies in trade agreements and communications, he said quietly. Now it's time to present it in a way that strengthens trust and unites everyone here. Lyra nodded. Yes, we must show that transparency and honesty benefit all, not just a few. We have an opportunity to turn this summit into a symbol of cooperation across species. As the session began, Lyra addressed the assembly with calm authority. Honored delegates, she said, her voice clear and resonant. We have worked together to uncover and correct discrepancies that could have caused misunderstandings among our worlds. Thanks to careful observation, cooperation, and the courage to act, we have ensured that this summit can move forward with fairness and integrity. Elias stepped forward, adding context. We've seen that challenges can arise unexpectedly, even in peaceful gatherings. But with teamwork, vigilance, and the willingness to act wisely, we can overcome obstacles without conflict. This is a model for future collaboration across galaxies. The delegates listened attentively, nodding in agreement. Many whispered to each other, impressed by the calm and thoughtful handling of potential conflict. Those who had attempted manipulation understood that their schemes had failed not because of confrontation or force, but because of intelligence, integrity, and careful planning. Lyra continued, her gaze sweeping across the room. We have an opportunity to set an example for others. Let this summit be remembered not for division, but for the strength found in cooperation and understanding. Let this be proof that even small acts of courage, like those performed in times of crisis, can shape the future. As she spoke, Lyra's thoughts drifted briefly to the past, the memory of a human who had once saved her as a child. She realized that the courage and kindness she had admired in him were the same qualities that had guided them through the summit's challenges. And now, that human stood beside her, a partner and friend, helping her create a better future for countless worlds. Elias glanced at her, understanding the unspoken connection. "Princess," he said softly, "the bravery you show here is the same as it was in your childhood. It's inspiring to see how you've grown, how your courage and intelligence guide others. You remind everyone that heroism comes in many forms, and that humanity is capable of great things." Lyra's lips curved into a gentle smile. "And you, Captain Elias, remind me that courage and wisdom, combined with compassion, can truly change outcomes. The human who saved me long ago is still teaching me lessons. Today." The room erupted in applause as delegates expressed their appreciation for the leadership and guidance shown by Lyra and Elias. It was a moment of recognition, not only of their individual qualities, but of the partnership that had brought fairness and clarity to the summit. Leaders of many species approached them afterward, offering thanks and admiration. Among the words of praise, Lyra found a quiet moment to speak with Elias privately. "It is remarkable," she said, "how a single act of kindness can ripple through time. Your bravery as a human saved my life, and now, together, we have created understanding among so many worlds." Elias nodded. "It shows the potential of humans and aliens working together. Compassion, intelligence, and courage are universal strengths, capable of shaping peaceful and prosperous futures." As the summit concluded, Lyra and Elias walked through the palace gardens, now quiet under the soft glow of evening. The iridescent flowers shimmered faintly, reflecting the colors of the setting sun. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm and accomplishment. "You have made this summit more than a gathering of delegates," she said. "You have made it a symbol of hope, unity, and human ingenuity. I am grateful for your presence, Elias, not just as the hero who saved me, but as the partner who helped guide us through this challenge." Elias smiled, humility and pride mingling in his expression. "It was my honor, Princess, and it is remarkable to see how you lead with strength and wisdom. Humans have much to learn from you as well." They continued walking side by side, their steps synchronized with quiet confidence. The city of Scifi's shimmered around them, a symbol of progress, hope, and cooperation. Lyra felt a profound connection to the universe, realizing that courage and wisdom, no matter how small the beginning, could shape destinies and unite worlds. As they reached the palace gates, Lyra paused, looking up at the sky. The stars twinkled brightly, distant yet full of possibility. "Elias," she said softly, "do you think the universe arranged our reunion for a reason?" Elias considered the question, then smiled. "I do. Sometimes moments that seem small or coincidental are actually part of a larger design. Your survival, our meeting again, it shows that courage and kindness have lasting impact." Lyra's heart felt light yet steady, filled with hope and determination. "Then we will continue to face the future together. Whatever challenges come, we will overcome them with wisdom, courage, and unity." Elias nodded, looking toward the horizon. "And in doing so, we will inspire others, humans, aliens, and all species alike, to believe in cooperation, intelligence, and bravery." The streets of Scifi's were quiet now, as citizens and visitors alike reflected on the successful conclusion of the summit. The memory of the events, small acts of courage, careful strategy, and unwavering trust would ripple across worlds, a testament to what could be achieved without violence, but through intelligence, compassion, and courage. Lyra and Elias returned to the palace, walking through corridors now bathed in the gentle glow of evening lights. They paused briefly by the grand fountain, its water reflecting the stars above. Lyra touched the surface, feeling a calm energy, a symbol of clarity and purpose. "This moment," she said softly, "is proof that even in a universe full of uncertainties, courage and intelligence can guide the way, and it began with a single human who once saved me as a child." Elias's eyes met hers, filled with warmth and admiration. "And it continues, Princess. The future is bright because of people like you and humans like me, willing to act with courage and integrity." They stood together in silence for a few moments, letting the peace of the evening settle around them. The galaxy beyond Scifi's was vast and full of challenges, but they felt ready, united by trust, mutual respect, and a shared past. They had proven that human qualities, bravery, compassion, and intelligence could inspire, guide, and change the course of events across worlds. As night fell over the city, Lyra turned to Elias with a small, genuine smile. "Thank you for everything, for saving me once and for standing with me now. Elias returned the smile, his expression quiet but full of meaning. It was always my honor, and I believe it always will be. The stars above Seralis shone brightly, like countless reminders of hope, courage, and possibility. In that quiet moment, Princess Lyra and Captain Elias knew that their bond, born from rescue, strengthened by trust, and guided by intelligence and bravery, was unbreakable. Together they could face the galaxy's challenges, unite worlds, and inspire all who witnessed their courage. And so the story ended not with conflict or fear, but with hope and unity. The human who had saved a young princess had returned to guide her again, proving that bravery, kindness, and intelligence were qualities that transcended species, time, and distance. The universe had watched, and in return, it had shaped a story of heroism, wisdom, and cooperation that would echo across the stars for generations to come. Princess Lyra shivered once more, not from fear, but from awe and gratitude. The child she had once been had survived, thrived, and learned to lead, and the human who had once saved her remained a symbol of what made humanity truly extraordinary: courage, compassion, and the quiet heroism that could change the galaxy. Together, they walked forward side by side, ready to face whatever the future held. And for the first time in many years, Lyra felt completely certain. The universe was full of possibilities, and humans were proof that even the smallest acts of courage could shape destinies beyond imagination.